My name is Jack Archer, and I'm a pilot of the Robotech Defense Force. I was born just before the global war. My parents died soon after the war began, so I had to learn how to survive on my own. Sometimes I wonder what kind of person I might have been if things were different. It's one of my darkest fears. If you took the war out of me, would there be anything left? The global war had been going on for a long time. All the experienced pilots were dead. My government was desperate, and the draftees started getting younger and younger. I needed a way to escape all that misery on the ground, so I didn't mind much when I got drafted. Flight training came easy to me. It was like I was meant to be a pilot. They said I had a rare talent, but somehow I didn't see it that way. After a few years, the government dissolved. I became a mercenary, hiring out to any nation that could afford me. I didn't care, just so long as I stayed up in the clouds where I could forget about all the troubles down on Earth. The war ended in a single day. All it took was a miracle. A gigantic alien spaceship broke through hyperspace on a collision course with the Earth and crashed into a small island in the South Pacific called Macross Island. The leaders of the world's nations called a ceasefire and assembled the most brilliant minds of the time to examine the spaceship and assess the possible threat of alien invasion. The evidence they found pointed to a highly advanced civilization with technology far beyond what we had on Earth, something the scientists called robotechnology. But there was an even greater discovery. The scientists found a supply of protoculture aboard the ship, a new and nearly inexhaustible energy source used to power the alien machines. The spaceship was some kind of advanced warship, bristling with powerful weaponry. They called it the Super Dimension Fortress, or the SDF-1 for short. They began rebuilding the ship as they unlocked the secrets of robotechnology. After the arrival of the SDF-1, work kind of dried up for a while. With the war over, no one wanted to hire mercenaries. The world was at peace for the first time I can remember, and I was starting to get used to the idea. Those were happy times. I had been living in Macross City, helping to rebuild the SDF-1. I was just getting used to my new life when Roy Fokker, the legendary Skull leader himself, recognized me as I was getting off work. We had met a few times during the war. Sometimes I was on his side, and sometimes I flew against him. Over the years, we ended up forming a friendship. He told me he needed pilots to join a new military outfit called the Robotech Defense Force. Roy said they had some new kind of high-performance fighter that could beat anything I ever flew. They called it a Veritech. I made Roy prove it to me, fighter to fighter. Why did the military need a transforming fighter? It was well known that the aliens were warriors, but there was one detail that was kept from the public. In a top-secret debriefing, we were informed that evidence from the crash indicated the aliens were 40-foot-tall giants. The RDF developed the Veritech fighter to fight the aliens on their own terms. It would mean the difference between survival and extinction. After my training, I was stationed with the carrier Prometheus on Macross Island. On the day the final construction of the SDF-1 was completed, the entire city prepared to celebrate. That was when the Zentradi arrived. The SDF-1 belonged to them, and they were determined to take it back.
We are under attack by alien invaders in Sector 412. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. All forces proceed in battle formation.
Well, boys, you heard her. This is the real thing. Destroy all targets. We've got to cut them off before they reach Macross City.
I'm on my way, Roy.
Wolf Squadron, move to intercept invaders at Zone 428. Traffic's pretty heavy out here, so break formation, but try to keep each other covered. Stay glued to that radar. This island is still crawling with bogies.
Rookie, I'm gonna make you eat those words.
Skull Leader calling Wolf 10. You've got more enemy readings in your area. They're heading for those Sea Sergeant helicopters. Get up there and intercept them.
I'm on it.
Where are you, Wolf 10?
Skull Leader to crew. You guys head back to the Prometheus. I've got some business to take care of in town.
SDF-1 control to Wolf Squadron. As soon as you are refueled and rearmed, proceed to Macross City to defend assigned sectors. SDF-1 control to Wolf 10. An alien assault force is approaching from the west. Head into Zone 209 and secure the area. Check your heads-up displays and follow the arrow.
I'm on my way.
Remember, Macross City wasn't made to accommodate anything the size of a Veritech, so you're going to run out of room pretty fast. You new pilots should stick to Battloid mode until you develop your skills. Looks like you've got this area under control, Wolf 10. There's a group of destroids requesting backup in Zone 214. Head over there and give them support. Enemy battle pods approaching.
The SDF-1 was able to escape the Zentradi attacks by executing a spacefold maneuver, which took most of the island along with it. I nearly got killed when that happened, and was in the hospital for months before I could fly again. After recovering from my injuries, they stationed me at Alaska base. All my friends from the academy were on board the SDF-1, and I wondered if I'd ever see them again. The SDF-1 didn't get a very warm reception when they returned. The United Earth government flatly refused to help them. They had survived for a year out in space, under constant attack by the Zentradi, only to be told that they weren't wanted back on Earth. Chiron, who was maybe the worst of the Zentradi warlords, continued to launch attacks on the SDF-1 after it returned home. When I heard that Roy Fokker had been killed, I visited the SDF-1 to attend his funeral. That's when Chiron chose to attack. Captain Gloval decided to test out a new barrier system they had developed, which enclosed the SDF-1 in a protective energy shield. It even worked, for a while anyway.
It's good to see you again, Jack. I wish it were under better circumstances.
You just worry about those fighters. I'll try to keep you out of trouble.
Emergency. Evacuate the area immediately. The barrier system is about to chain react. You've got to get away from here, quick!
First fears were realized when an armada of Zentradi ships started folding into orbit around the Earth. When they had all arrived, millions of warships encircled our small planet. When the ships were in position, Dolza, supreme commander of the Zentradi, gave the orders to open fire and bombard the planet Earth. It was total devastation, on a scale even humans had never seen before. In seconds, everything I cared about was gone. If the SDF-1 had never arrived on Earth, billions of lives might have been saved. You might say that the battle was lost before it really began, but still, we fought on.
This is Alaska base. Squadrons, prepare for battle. Wolf Squadron, see if you can keep those fighters occupied. You've got to keep them off the SDF-1 until the final attack.
I don't believe it. How are we supposed to win against a force of this size? There must be millions of ships out there. Come back when you have some skills.
All guard fighters, break off. Attack immediately.
Wait! That's Zentradi Ace. She's tearing the whole squadron apart. I've got to do something.
I'll see you again when your skills have improved.
The Zentradi were warriors, bred for combat by a race called the Robotech Masters. They were created only for destruction. Human concepts such as music, love, peace, and even recreation were completely unknown to them. As the Zentradi followed the SDF-1 on its long trip to Earth, they were exposed to human culture. In fact, many of them decided to join the Earth forces. Only a handful of survivors remained on the Earth. With limited food and resources, the people endured terrible hardships as they labored to rebuild what we had all lost. Shortly after the Robotech War, I was assigned to Base 6. As luck would have it, my friends Hiro Ishii and Izzy Randall had also managed to survive the war and now served alongside me at the base. Commander Helena Chase was the senior officer at Base 6. She was kind of a taskmaster, I guess, but like all of us, she was anxious to bring our lives back to a semblance of order, to begin again. While on duty, most of my time was spent running patrols out in the wasteland, looking for any signs of trouble. There was a shortage of food, and it was hard to get replacement parts for my Veritech. But I soon discovered that trouble was one thing that would never be in short supply. You see, millions of Zentradi had now been assimilated into human society. And just like humans, we shared some of the same flaws. There were renegade Zentradi who simply couldn't live peacefully with humans. Many of them became scavengers, wandering the wastelands and raiding human settlements when they needed weapons or supplies. Due to this new threat, the Robotech Defense Force was called upon to protect the scattered communities all over the wasteland.
Wolf 10 reporting in. I'm entering Ambush Hills.
Roger, Wolf 10. Renegades and Zentradi are known to be camping in these hills. They've been raiding Greystone for the last few months now. The town needs our help. Clear the area of scavengers and make sure you destroy their munitions. Without weapons, they won't pose a threat to the town.
Sounds great. So, why do they call it Ambush Hills again? Commander?
Do you really want me to spell it out for you? One of our cat's eyes was shot down somewhere in this area, and we have reason to believe that the crew survived the crash. Take the 3 missing crew members back to this drop zone, which is marked by the arrow on your HUD. Eliminate any and all hostile Zentradi.
Orders received. Hey, Chase! Do you think it's okay to drink the water?
Just get on with it, Jack.
So, it seems the little Micronian has made it past the guards I stationed in Flood City. I am scarred. You've proved that you can best my soldiers. Let's see how well you do against a Zentradi officer. Follow me, little Micronian. Follow me to your death.
It's a swell invitation, but hey, come back here and fight like an officer god.
Any fool can survive a battle of Micronian. All you need to do is run. Skills are commendable, but they will not save you in the end. Well done. Perhaps we can resume this fight another time.
We were beginning to see signs that a new threat had arrived in our part of the wasteland. Every month, more Zentradi left the human settlements and disappeared out in the desert. Renegade attacks were becoming more destructive, and Commander Chase kept us busy responding to the many calls for help. There were plenty of humans who still distrusted the Zentradi, and that only increased the amount of tension in the frontier communities. It didn't help matters that Hero seemed to have a personal grudge to settle with the Zentradi. He never trusted them, and with every new incident, he saw more proof that his convictions were right. When Chiron heard about the growing numbers of malcontent Zentradi, he sent Zeral and his group to help fan the flames of unrest. I guess he hoped that he could spread our forces so thin that we'd eventually snap. I didn't know it then, but Zeral had started to rally the scavengers together soon after they arrived. While Chiron was busy obsessing over the destruction of the SDF-1, Zeral was beginning to have more ambitious ideas.
Wolf 10, we're getting contacts near Little Mesa. Link up with ground units and check it out.
Base obviously can't see what's happening here.
The area is crawling with scout pods, but we've got to get to that comsat station and warn Base 6 about the attack. The first pod you shoot will be my signal to start moving up the hill. Don't forget, if any of those scout pods alert the Zentradi, dead.
The Little Mesa massacre was a terrible tragedy. Hundreds of innocent people had been lost, butchered without remorse.
Officer's pod!
Hold your fire! It's crippled! I know that pod. That's far enough, Scarred. Surrender yourself!
Our paths cross again, Micronian. I regret what happened in that tower back there. Have you come to take your revenge on me?
This isn't about revenge, Scarred. It's about justice. If you surrender to me, you'll receive a fair trial.
I am defenseless, and yet you do not strike. Why?
It doesn't matter what I want to do. My duty to the RDF comes first.
You're gonna let that scum live? I got a better idea, Jack. Let's just kill him and tell Chase that he died in the crash.
Hero, no! I can't let you do that.
Yeah? Let's see if you can stop him.
I have to disable him without killing him.
This one's for Little Mesa. Welcome to Earth, you overgrown mutant.
You fought your comrades to spare my life. I do not understand.
May never understand, Scarred. Hero's probably right about you, Zentradi, anyway.
We've entered Zeral's territory now. Alright, Jack. Would you please tell me why this is such a good idea?
An enemy ace has been preying on our pilots and preventing supply shipments from breaking through to Base 6. She was last sighted at this location, so we're trying to hunt her down.
You still haven't told me why this is a good idea.
Look out, Izzy!
What have we here? New toys to play with? Perhaps you were looking for me? I'm Fiora. Your friends didn't last very long. I hope you put up more of a fight.
I've lost control! Help me!
Pull up, Izzy!
Oh no, you don't. I'm not done playing with her yet. I haven't had this much power since I landed on your side of the planet.
Izzy! Izzy, can you hear me?
Jack... my canopy shattered. Letting in water. I'm sinking.
Hang on. I'm almost there. I'll move you to a safer spot as soon as I can.
I like her right where she is. You Mycronians seem so eager to help each other. I wonder what you would do just to save that female. Or would you sacrifice your own life for hers?
Izzy! Got to get her out of there. Pick on someone your own size.
No one has lasted this long before. How could I have failed? No one has ever defeated me in battle. Perhaps it will be different next time.
After my fight with Hero, he and I were constantly at each other's throats. Commander Chase wasn't too pleased with me, and she was even less happy with Hero. I'm sure that our punishment would have been severe under normal circumstances, but the Zentradi threat was escalating beyond control now, and Commander Chase needed all the experienced pilots she could get. Izzy was badly injured from Kiora's attack, but it looked like she was going to recover. It was too bad she wasn't around to help smooth things out between Hero and me. I know she wouldn't have wanted to see us fighting, but there didn't seem to be anything I could do about it. The Little Mesa massacre was a terrible tragedy. Hundreds of innocent people had been lost, butchered without remorse. It was a wake-up call for all of us. After Dolza's armada had been defeated, I thought that maybe we'd have a chance to live in peace again. But those hopes were gone now. War had come to the wasteland. We knew that we couldn't protect the frontier towns anymore, so Chase gave the order for a wide-scale evacuation. Civilians were brought to Base 6 for shelter and protection, while our limited forces fought Zoral's army for control of the wasteland. We started to hear rumors about a mysterious Zentradi city, where Zoral had chosen to make his headquarters. To make matters worse, Zoral had discovered an intact Zentradi carrier left over from the war, stocked full of battle pods, re-entry pods, power armor, more than enough weapons and equipment to supply his army. Zoral turned out to be a brilliant commander. Every day, more renegade Zentradi flocked to join his growing army. These weren't simple scavengers raiding towns for supplies anymore. Under Zoral's command, heavily armed forces were hitting civilian and RDF targets all across the wasteland. And they were winning.
Zentradi are here! I see re-entry pods approaching from the south! Where are those choppers? We've got to evacuate!
Sea sergeants are on the way, Mayor. Your people should be safe in the Civic Center until they arrive. Jack, follow the arrow to the south side of town and support the defenders. The south perimeter is secure. Jack, Hero's unit just called in for support. Get over there and give them some backup.
That's the barricade. Where are those destroids? Commander? There's no sign of Hero's group.
I can't reach them. Hold that position while I try to sort this out. Don't let the Zentradi break through the Civic Center.
Looks like you want some help.
Where were you? Maybe you were hoping I'd get myself killed while I was waiting for you.
There you are. I see the choppers! They've made it! Wait, more re-entry pods are coming! They're landing in front of the radio tower! Help!
Wolf 10, get over there as fast as you can and bring the man to the landing zone. In one piece, if you don't mind. Good work. We're starting to load civilians onto the sea sergeants. Protect them until they're ready for takeoff.
to the hospital, so you better check in on me once in a while.
Hey, why am I in trouble all of a sudden?
We're both in trouble. We're not even supposed to be out here. When Commander Chase finds out about this little unauthorized rescue mission, our careers are over.
We can't just leave him out here. I know he's alive.
Listen, I want to find him too. Just pointing out that I'm here helping you when I'm really supposed to be recovering.
Relax. Don't worry too much. Here with me.
And your point is? This is where Hero made his last transmission. He may still be in the area. Hurry, Jack.
There he is. Hey, Hero. About that $5 you owe me.
You know, for once I'm actually happy to see you. My destroid's in bad shape. Weapon systems are still online, but my actuators are shot. I'm not going anywhere.
I hate to interrupt, but the radar is picking up enemy units surrounding your position, and they're starting to move in. You have to get out of there now!
I'm wounded pretty bad. Get out of here while you can. I'll cover you.
I've got a better idea. How about I fight off these Zentradi, and when we get back to base, you can tell Commander Chase that I deserve a medal instead of a court-martial.
Commander Chase reported regularly to Admiral Gloval in New Macross City and pleaded for food, medical supplies, Veritech parts, anything they could spare. But Chiron had been raiding New Macross City for nearly a year, and there wasn't much they could do to help. Without the RDF's support, we all knew that Zaral's army would soon overwhelm us and seize control of the wasteland. After completing repairs to his ship, Chiron was ready for a final assault on New Macross City. Zaral reported that his troops were also ready and agreed to meet Chiron outside the city before the attack. But Zaral had different plans for his new army. When Chiron reached New Macross City, Zaral's army never joined him. In the end, Chiron and his forces were completely destroyed. But as he died, he managed to wipe out both the SDF-1 and the newly completed SDF-2 in one last act of defiance. Zaral never understood Chiron's obsession with the SDF-1. He wanted to seize the entire planet while the RDF was weakened by Chiron's attack. That way he could prepare for the arrival of the Robotech Masters. New Macross City lay in ruins. Without their help, there was nothing to stop his forces from overwhelming Base 6. We spent time reinforcing our defenses, building shelters for the refugees, going over contingency plans. In the end, all we could do was wait.
This is no probe. It's the real thing. Bring all units to full alert. If the enemy gets past the outpost, they'll quickly overwhelm the base. Jack, you better watch out for those fighter pods. The destroyed monsters are vulnerable without your support. Fall back to base. We fought hard. We can't hold them back any longer.
I'm grateful to these machines, you know. They kept me alive long enough to find you at last. Since our battle, I thought only of you. Perhaps this is what my craniums call love. I know I won't feel whole again until I crushed you underfoot.
That's not love you're feeling, Kiora. We Micronians call that psychosis.
it! Zeral's troops are retreating. This is the moment of truth. Your orders are to find and eliminate Zeral. Our intelligence reports say he's likely to be holed up within that crashed carrier. The city has been fortified with turret positions and male power armor commandos. Destroy units have already penetrated into the city, and they've been ordered to give you support. Don't worry about them. Just see that you find Zeral.
To the carrier wreckage, Commander. I'm going in.
We've come this far. Don't let yourself get careless now.
Careless? You must have me confused with another pilot. What's that? Something weird is happening here.
It's a space bolt. Jack, get out!
It seems I owe my defeat largely to your interference, Jack Archer. You even managed to best my finest warriors. I congratulate you for that. But now, my fortune has suddenly changed, I think. Even if you manage to win this battle, you shall surely die with me, here in the vacuum of space. We're too far from your dead little world to have any hope of returning.
If that's what it takes to kick you off my planet, then so be it.
I'm impressed. You fight like a Zentradi.
You think that's a compliment?
Now, you know the whole story. Or at least, as much as I know. I've done some things I'm not proud of. I just hope that in the end, I've helped more people than I've harmed. And maybe even made a difference in their lives. The oxygen's too thin for me to talk anymore. I guess it's a good time to go. The future's looking so bright.